In recent months, Mexico, China, and the UK have become hotbeds for UFO activity. Now, you're known as a person who has the ability to communicate with alien life, referring to yourself as an emissary for the Zeta Reticuli people. What have the Zeta said with regard to an alien presence on Earth, and what can mankind hope to accomplish by their presence?
Well, they've been around for many reasons. People say, well, what's their reason? What's their agenda? They've been around since before man was genetically engineered from the caveman into modern man. So they've been around a long time. The ones that I'm working with, the group, has also been empowered to create a Zeta human hybrid, which they have. And I participated in this program, gave my ova, met one of my offsprings and his offsprings, and this is mankind's next leap forward. We'll be brainier, we'll live longer, we will eat, but we won't fart. We'll have a better digestive system, be bald, very skinny, live 400 years, etc. So in any case, that's part of it, genetic engineering. A large part is the fact that all visitors, and there are over 1,000 different life forms, the vast majority of these not hominoid at all. People have to get used to the idea that intelligent species are in the universe. Most come from water planets. Then you have reptilian planets. Then you have things like birds, and finally mammals, monkeys or rodents or whatever, and finally you'll have some hominoids. So you got to get used to it. If your visitor looks like an intelligent rat, just get into if you have to turn your back, do so, because most people deal with it that way at first. At least they turn their back. An octopus or a fish in a tank, just have your chat, and deal with it. So they're here to counsel. Now, the way it shakes out, and the reason our globe is so obsessed with good and evil, all our movies are about this. If it's not about love gone wrong, it's about good and evil and who wins. It's because we're a young world, and young worlds spark souls and have developing souls that reincarnate many, many thousands of times. And during this, in a schoolhouse where we're allowed to self-educate by our actions and perceiving and experiencing the results of our actions, we are gradually to make the determination, do we want to be good-hearted, practice the golden rule, care about the general welfare, and be willing to sacrifice ourselves toward this if necessary, or do we want to remain spiritually immature and be self-focused, selfish, control freaks, maybe given to sadism as a game, and basically those are the two choices. 5% on average of emerging souls choose the selfish route and eventually get hauled off to prison planets where they have to live with each other, which is hell, and the other 95% migrate in the other direction and live with each other eventually in a evolved, high-tech, kind, caring environment, societies, and this is called heaven. So in our type of Earth, which is kind of like the kindergarten, we can't travel around the universe because we're considered dangerous and immature, right? Once we go to either prison planet or this other evolved, caring society, high-tech and zipping around the universe is allowed, but the prison planet crowd is very heavily restricted in what they can do. They can only counsel people like a psychological little devil on the shoulder buzzing in your ear. That's it. But they cannot do UFO displays in the side. They cannot mass land, colonize, eat you, any of that stuff. So therefore, it's very limited. But so what are aliens doing here? Many of them are counseling people when people give what is called the call, which is in essence really being very curious, wondering, wishing you had someone to talk to, struggling with a problem, this kind of thing. Even working the Ouija board or prayer or curiosity are considered giving the call. And people do it more and more as the times get more troubled. And the Zeta, aliens will come and say, well, we're here to chat. But the person is in control. They can say, I changed my mind. I don't want to talk to an alien. But these kind of responses can be on a soul-to-soul level, so you don't even know you're talking to an alien. They can be, next to you in just in spirit form and communicating with your soul, and then all of a sudden a conclusion, a solution pops into your head. You feel better. You have the answer. You see where you can take action where you didn't before, that type of thing. So that's what they're doing here, in brief.
Okay, our phone lines are open for those who may have a question for Nancy later at 646-478-5297, or you can pose your questions in our chat room. Again, 646-478-5297. A number of news sites reported in July that a large asteroid or possibly a comet had impacted both Jupiter and Venus just days apart. Now, there have also been numerous sightings of fireballs this year in which some have hit the Earth as meteorites. Has the gravitational pull of Jupiter become so out of whack that it is pulling space rocks out of their usual orbit within the asteroid belt, or could something like a Planet X be causing this unusual influx of space rocks and debris?
Yeah, the latter. And actually, back in the 1990s, when Planet X was first approaching, and it was out of our solar system and approaching our solar system, there were changes, like volcanoes were activating and becoming more active. And people said, well, wait, it's way at a distance because, it travels back and forth in a sling orbit between this foci that's 18.74 Sun-Pluto distances from our sun. And so it'd be way out there, and now just starting to zoom into our solar system. And the Zeta's answer was it affects the equilibrium, which is a difficult concept for people to understand. But if you try to image a spider web, and the spider sits on the edge of the web and waits for some sort of a little vibration coming, and that indicates that there's a fly that is caught over here or over there, and it goes toward the vibration and wraps the fly up. But the whole web twitches, and they said that the equilibrium of particle flows and what's going on, what planet is where, and is such that if you disrupt the equilibrium, you could have a blip, like the doctor comes in and touches your temple and your big toe twitches, this kind of thing. Yet there is a connection, and so it's that kind of twitching that goes on. Yes, especially now that it is in the solar system, is outbound, that there's a lot of changing, and particle flows push things around. If you try, if you want to doubt that, just try to point two magnets together, North Pole to North Pole. You can't get them to touch. I don't care what kind of a Hercules you are. You cannot. They just refuse to touch. And this is because of particle flows that you cannot see. So they're blowing things around, and yes, asteroids or debris that's always out there in space. That's why we have fireballs and big meteor showers and the like are blowing in some different directions. And the same thing affecting Venus's dark spot or whatever the heck it was. We shouldn't be surprised, but even in the late 1990s, we had the moon, I think it's the Europa of Jupiter, that was heating up. People said, wait a minute, it's an ice planet, an ice moon, and they could see it was heating up, and where's that coming from? They said that Mars seemed to be heating up for some odd reason. So this was way back in the 1990s when Planet X was out away. It does affect our solar system, and I consider that, even though people may talk about it, a minor issue. We should all be worried about where the heck we're going to go when the pole shift hits, and what we're going to do for other people, how to help them.